I'll make sure I get this.
It is 9:30. June meeting of the Wood County Board will come to order.
Thank you.
I would ask the clerk to take the roll. At this time, I would ask Supervisor Campbell to come forward with the invocation. Ask the body to rise and remain standing for our allegiance.
Good morning. Good morning. Let us pray. Lord, thank you for this day you made for us to do the work needed for the people of Wood County. Guide us to make good decisions in your and their best interests. Keep your hedge of protection around those that protect us at the local, state, and federal level. We pray this in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reading of the previous minutes, have a motion. Hamilton, second by Fisher. Is there any additions or subtractions from those minutes? If not, all in favor of approving those minutes indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Thank you. Excusals, today we have none, which brings us to appointments. Without objection, I think we can take these all together with a voice vote. They are State Wildlife Area Advisory Committee 3-year terms for John Kubishak, Jim Winkler, and Dawn Smutzer, and confirmation of the Executive Committee pick of Supervisor Pollock. All in favor of those appointments? Motion by Glendenning, second by Fisher. Thank you. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor of those appointments indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Thank you. Brings us to public comment. Is there anyone here today wishing to make public comment? Someone here, would you step forward, sir? Please identify yourself. You have 3 minutes. You'll have to turn the mic on.
Let's do it.
Good morning. My name is Ben Dorhorst, and I live in District 5 in the city of Marshfield. I'm here today to support the resolution to get big money out of politics, and I'm joined by several other supporters from Marshfield, Pittsville, and Wisconsin Rapids seated back here, and some of them very well may like to speak as well. Just as a little background about this resolution, through a series of Supreme Court decisions, we've arrived at a situation where it's possible for special interest groups to spend unlimited and sometimes undisclosed amounts of money in our political system, most notably through super PACs. We feel this dilutes the voice of the average citizen and causes politicians to listen more to wealthy donors than the constituents they were elected to represent. It also results in outside money having greater influence over our state and federal representatives, eroding local control over local issues. The resolution before you today is part of a nationwide movement to build support for a constitutional amendment to correct this situation. So far, over 130 communities in Wisconsin have called for this amendment, and we would like Wisconsin to join the 19 states that have already called for this constitutional amendment. But we must build support and awareness at the local level. Many of us worked hard to gather almost 1,300 signatures in the city of Marshfield to get this resolution on the ballot there. And it passed with over 80% of voters supporting it. This illustrating that this is a nonpartisan issue with broad support across the political spectrum. So we can continue to go around the county to all the cities, towns, and villages and try and get this resolution on the ballot in all of them, or we can or we can bring it to the county and try and do it countywide. And that's what we're asking you to do today, to approve putting this on the ballot countywide so all the voters have a chance to have their voice heard on it. So I thank you for your time and consideration, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions if they come up during discussion. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to make public comment at this time?
Hello, I'm David Gorski and I live in Grand Rapids. I would encourage you to put this item on the ballot because I think it has to do with protecting our democracy. I don't believe corporations are people, and I don't think money is free speech. So it would be good to have the voice of the people heard on this item. Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment?
My name is Jay Jackson, resident of Wisconsin Rapids, District 14. I also support this because I feel that the dilution of the people's rights to be represented are eroded when there's outside state money that comes in and corrupts the process. So I encourage your support of this resolution to put it on the ballot. Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment? Public comment, anyone? Now, we will move on. We have two special recognitions today, and I would ask Supervisor Flemmel to come forward and make these.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this on? Can you hear me out there? Probably don't need it anyway. With longevity, I think, comes a little bit of familiarity, and hence I was asked to do these presentations today. The first one that I would like to do today is Doug Passineau's. Doug Passineau has been employed in this county for over 40 years, 40-plus years of service to the residents of Wood County. That's remarkable. You will never see that again, in my opinion, moving forward, where somebody started at some of the lower levels in our highway department and worked their way all the way up to the position of highway commissioner. Now, there's a lot of service dates I could read and go through, but I just wanted to touch on this. Doug served as a patrolman for 13 years, to give you a little bit of a feel for this. He was a hot mix plant operator for 2 years. Then he became a mechanic for 23 days. Must have fixed everything in 23 days. I'm not sure, Doug, because then he went back to the hot mix plant for 4 more years. So, I always said he's a great mechanic. I know he knows how to fix everything, but he obviously fixed it in 23 days. Became a lead person in 1997, patrol superintendent in the year 2000, and then he was named our Wood County Highway Commissioner in 2008. Like I said, that's remarkable. Doug had 20 years of service into this county before some of the people who now have 20 years of service in were even born. So, that puts this a little bit into perspective. But I think what's most amazing is his total commitment to the highway system in Wood County. Doug's not somebody who would tell me the roads are bad, we need to fix them. He'd say, get in my car, let's drive around, let's look at all the highways, I'm going to explain to you exactly why these need to be fixed, how many dollars need to be allocated, and why we need to do this now. And I found that commitment, that passion, that drive, not only is represented by his service to our county as the highway commissioner, but in his service to the community as a whole. He served as a town board supervisor for many, many years in the town of Saratoga. And I think you'll find the same commitment to his family, to his wife, Kim, to his daughter, to the rest of the family, to his grandchildren. There's a certain amount of commitment that somebody at this level tends to exude, to show, and it shines through at every single level. So, Doug, I know you personally. I know you're a caring individual. I know you've done a remarkable job with the highway systems in our county, and I want to commend you for that. And I'd ask you to come forward, because I know they don't want to hear me ramble on. They'd probably like to hear from you. So, Doug, while you're walking up here, I'd like to present this plaque to Douglas J. Passineau, the Wood County Highway Commissioner, for 40 years and 2 months of dedicated service to the people of Wood County. Doug, thanks.
Thank you. Write a few things down. Not a whole lot, but first of all, I'd like to thank my wife, my daughter, my son-in-law, and my granddaughter. They supported me through a lot of up and down times, there's no doubt. And they did put my wife would be here today, but she broke her foot, so that kind of changed our retirement plans a little bit. Also, the highway department. I know a lot of folks throughout the county, and I can tell you this. I wouldn't trade anybody at the highway department for any other county's people. I just feel that strongly. If I see John sits back there now, he's heard me say that a bunch. You have some good people out there. And that's kind of by design. I always try to hire people that would be my replacement. So you have some good folks there. I've always felt my job was about 75,000 people, not about myself. I could have made my job easy by taking care of myself. I didn't do that. Some of the roads that I've taken were a little out of the way, out of the path, and Lance knows about that when we first went to the, let's say, the frac sand thing. Folks didn't understand what I was going through. I don't see eye to eye with a lot of people, I never will. And I think Mr. Fire knows that. The other part about that, it really wasn't a job for me. I've had fun. I never had a job. It was, for me, it's been fun since 1978, no doubt. I know one of the first things when I became commissioner, I had a project on County Truncated. First of all, when I didn't know how to take care of the roads. We didn't have the funding to do it, all of that kind of stuff. And there was this thing popped up on my computer. It said stimulus projects, and I really didn't understand all that. I did know that we had to have some engineering done, and I talked to Lance about that. I didn't want to spend, and it wasn't a lot of money. It was $3,500. And I asked Lance about spending that with maybe not getting a payback, and he had told me that day, sometimes you have to run it like a business, and I've done it ever since. That $3,500 ended up being $3.5 million. So with that, also the partnership with the BIA for me has been huge. I have a lot of friends over there, and we talk weekly. Partnerships with the DOT. I feel we're still strong at that. We have a good partnership. Also, town folks too. So with that, that's all I have. And thank you very much. I'd like to thank the county board too also. They supported me on a lot of things, whether it's the HERC or the whole county board. Sometimes it took a little persuading, but we seem to come to the same consensus at the end. So thank you very much.
I know on behalf of this whole board, we wish you the best in your future, and it really is an honor and a privilege to be able to get up here and recognize these two long-term employees. A highway commissioner is actually elected for his first term also, but this next recognition we're doing is for our longtime county clerk, and that is Cindy Cepress. Now, I go back a ways because she was Cindy Myers when I started. She's Cindy Cepress for a long time now, but this is a little bit of a tough one. Cindy, personally, you're the heart and soul of this entire operation. You and your office staff have kept this train on the tracks for every year that I have ever been here, and that's quite a few of those. She exemplifies honesty, conscience, composure, confidence, and above all, compassion. If you need to hear the truth, she'll pull you in her office and she'll tell you to your face. If you need perspective, again, same thing. You walk in her office and you get that. You get the truth and you get perspective. She bleeds Wood County. I mean that. She's literally taking our blood. She runs all those blood drives. For years, she's gotten some of mine, and I'm sure she's gotten some of yours along the way. And whether that's been organizing those blood drives, brat fries, friendly office contests, every single person who works for this county or who walks into this courthouse knows Cindy and knows that face. And although she spent almost 30 years of her life in service to the people of Wood County, it's not the time on the job you've spent, but the impression that you've made on those people whose lives you have impacted. Whether you're a resident of this county, whether you're an elected official, you'll be remembered for those years by most of those people, and you'll be remembered by some of us forever. So I've had the extreme privilege of working beside Cindy for most of the years in which she served as the county clerk. And these are some things I got from some of those clerks around the state. But she's unbelievably knowledgeable in that capacity as the clerk. She's a go-to person for the people around the state. She's superbly organized. She's genuinely respected and recognized by her peers as one of the best in the business. And to that point, she just finished a term as the president of her association of the county clerks. She's the greatest asset a county board could ever have, and personally, as a county board chairman, could have ever hoped for. So our gratitude for your loyalty and service to those around you can never be expressed in words, Cindy, and I'd ask you to come forward, because I probably can't do it in words, but without getting charged with anything, I can probably do it with a hug. Thanks. So Cindy, as you work your way up here, the Wood County Board Supervisor recognize and thank Cynthia Cepress, the Wood County Clerk, for 29 years and 5 months of faithful service to the people of Wood County from 1989 until 2018. And I want to personally thank you for that service.
Thank you. I'd rather be sitting up there than down here. I'm more comfortable with that. I'm going to try and get through this. I kind of get winded. I've seen a lot of changes in the last 16 years as county clerk. I've worked with 6 county board chairmen, Bill Goodness, Charlie Gertler, Ken Josephson, Laverne Rigel, Lance Plimmel, and now Doug Mahan. All really wonderful, wonderful men and great to work with. Over 16 years, I've seen the comings and goings of many, many county board supervisors, and some that have surprised me about how long they've stuck around. I've had 2 outstanding deputies. I've always half joked that Cindy Boyd would have taken a bullet for me. I half joke because I really truly believe she would have. Never say anything bad about me to Cindy Boyd because she'll let you have it. I'm not sure that Trent has that dedication to me yet. But I'm sure if we had more time together, I'd bring him around. I've seen the board reduced from 38 to 19 members and the resulting changes that came from that in the committee structure. That was a really interesting time, and overall I think it worked out really well. I've overseen 53 elections. When I counted that up, I surprised myself because you don't look at it, you just take each one as it comes, and I could not believe that it was 53. I've administered 2 statewide recounts. After the first one, I said, nobody should ever have to do this again, and then along came a presidential recount, and many, many state and local and county recounts. There's no way to count the vast number of election law changes that I've had to implement in the last 16 years. It all started with the Help America Vote Act of 2002, and it's been constant change since that time. I think Tony Rouge had perfect timing when he got out. I became a certified trainer for the Wisconsin Elections Commission about 8 years ago. Before that time, my municipal clerks and chief election inspectors had to go really far to get their required training. I loved doing those trainings and was happy to make it easier that they could get these classes closer to home. I felt I've done a lot of good things here in the last 29 plus years. 14 years ago, I started organizing blood drives. Making donation convenient for our employees is so important, and it makes it easier for them, so they're more likely to take the time to donate. I didn't count the number of pints contributed in those years, but we can all agree how vital a constant blood supply is. I continue to contribute to fundraising efforts for United Way by holding popcorn days. You'll smell it when you're in the courthouse. I've told Trent that I'll come back as a guest popper when I feel better. I started the Stuff the Bus, being a drop-off site for Stuff the Bus last year. Crazy impressed with how generous our employees were. He said too many nice things about me. I've worked with many dedicated county employees over the years, from my days in child support, registered deeds, and clerk of courts. I once was one of the young ones here, and I looked at the old timers and wondered when they'd retire so I could have their job. And now those roles are reversed. Thank you to everybody for wonderful years. I'll always say I was proud to work for Wood County. Thank you.
Again, thank you to both of those for their long and dedicated service to Wood County. It's always difficult to replace people with that level of dedication. If I can change speeds for just 1 second, on your desk is a green book. I don't know if any of you have looked at that, but this is probably the best resource the counties have ever put together for information regarding every county in the state, where we're headed, where we've been, and I certainly would recommend that every one of you at least browse through that. You don't just take that and toss it somewhere. Thanks, Don. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that, Supervisor Flemmel. We have a special order of business on the agenda today, but I don't see Jonette here. Oh, there she is. Mike, would you come forward, please, and introduce Jonette? Thank you.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to introduce this next person. The ADRC went through an extensive background checks and looking for a new executive director. And we were lucky enough to get Jonette Arms, who is with us today. Jonette, do you want to come forward? We're very pleased to have her, and she has a lot of background. She comes from the Milwaukee area, so she knows how things work in the state of Milwaukee. If you've ever been for the American Legion, we call Milwaukee the state of Milwaukee, and you can believe that's exactly what it is. So I present you Jonette Arms, our new executive director for the ADRC.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Supervisors. Thank you, Mike. I'm very pleased to be here. I'm honored to have been selected as the Executive Director for the ADRC of Central Wisconsin. Today actually is my third month to date being here in Central Wisconsin. I actually really enjoy the communities. I found nothing but friendliness, welcoming individuals, and I look forward to carrying on the business of working with and working for older adults and people with disabilities and all of the individuals within the 4 counties of Wood, Lincoln, Marathon, and Langley to ensure that services, programs, and opportunities are provided for the populations that we serve. Again, thank you very much. I look forward to coming before you at an appropriate time to bring updates around accomplishments, challenges, and how we can continue to work together to serve older adults and people with disabilities. Thank you again.
Thank you, Jonette. That gets us into the packet. And we will start with referrals. Those have been passed along to the proper committees. Page 6 through 8, we have the May 29th Executive Committee meeting minutes. More Executive Committee meeting minutes on 9 through 11. County Clerk comments on page 12. Human Resources, 13 to 17. IT, pages 18 through 20. Finance Director's Report, 21 to 43. On 44, we have Safety and Risk Management. 45, the Treasurer's Report. That brings us to our first resolution brought forward by the Executive Committee. I would ask the clerk to read that, please.
This will be Resolution 18-6-1. Initial resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation promissory notes in the amount not to exceed $4 million for highway projects and capital improvement projects. Fiscal note, proceeds from general obligation promissory notes not to exceed $4 million designated as follows. Highway project, $2,300,000. Capital improvement, $1,700,000.
Motion approved by Glendenning, second by Flair. Is there any discussion? Vice Chair?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have an amendment that I would like to make to this motion. Under the be it resolved, I would like to add the date 2019 so that the sentence will read, be it resolved by the County Board of Supervisors of Wood County, Wisconsin, that there shall be issued pursuant to, and then all your state statute, general obligation promissory notes in the amount not to exceed $4 million for the purpose of financing 2019 highway projects and capital improvement projects. I just want to clarify that it's for the 2019 budget year. So I would like to add that amendment and motion to do so, please.
Is there a second? I think we can do that on a voice vote. Is there any discussion on the amendment? If not, all in favor of the amendment indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Thank you. We can go back to the original resolution now. Is there any discussion on the resolution? Any discussion? If not, I'm sorry, please go to the board and vote. Thank you. And that resolution passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on, we have Health and Human Services Committee minutes on 47 through 63. Wood County Public Safety Committee, 64, 65. The Humane Officer, various reports on 66 through 71. Coroner's report on page 72. Various Sheriff's Department reports on 73 through 80. Which brings us to our second resolution brought forward by the Public Safety Committee, and I would ask the clerk to read that, please.
This will be Resolution 18-6-2. To amend the 2018 emergency management budget for additional expenditures that were not anticipated during the initial budget process. Fiscal note, $26,000 total cost. At the time of this request, the funds available in contingency are $334,683. The adjustment to the budget totals $26,000.
Motion by Flair, second by Flair. I'm sorry, motion by Bry, second by Flair. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Any discussion? If not, please go to the board and vote. That resolution passes 18-1. Thank you. Moving on, we have C Committee minutes from 83 to 112. Supervisor Ashback.
I know this. I all know. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you look at our agenda, they have in there, we're going to bring back the small farms. And as you look at the minutes of the meeting, when we talk about this, they're going to want to pass a moratorium that the farmers can't sell any of their land to anybody that wants to expand. If you increase the bill more cows and buy 40 acres, they're going to pass a moratorium against that. As I talked to Owen yesterday, they had 2 young people coming into the farming, and they want to build more cows to support their families. But he says, I pay 100% of all my Social Security and my health, he says, and my retirement. And he said, if these people want to do that, why don't they give me that money back? He says, I pay taxes every year to help these people pay their Social Security. So when is it my turn once, he says. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anything else from the C minutes? Not, we'll move on. Judicial Legislative Committee, 113 to 127. Which brings us to our next resolution from Judicial Legislative. I would ask the clerk to read that, please.
This will be Resolution 18-6-3, to hold a non-binding referendum to ascertain if the voters of Wood County support an amendment to the United States Constitution that would allow for financial limits on political campaign contributions. Fiscal note, there may be an increase in the cost of the ballots.
Motion by Hamilton, second by Leitner. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Supervisor Hahn.
I think this is a good opportunity to allow the citizens of the county to have their voices heard on an issue that's both very important and popular. As was said earlier, 130 communities in the state have already passed resolutions similar to this, and that just goes to show that, you know, no matter what our political affiliations are, we can come together and agree that there's just too much money in politics and something has to be done about it. And that's why I'm voting yes on this, and I hope you do too. Thank you.
Supervisor Zerflu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With your permission, if I could direct this question to the Deputy Clerk. Sorry. Trent, what is the estimated cost of this non-binding?
Minuscule at best. I mean, it's going to go on the November ballot. It'll be a little bit more in the printing charge, a little bit more in the programming. If I were to pull a number out of my back pocket or thereabouts, I would say roughly $1,000 more out of an election. It'll probably cost you $40,000 to $50,000 in ballot printing and programming.
Thank you very much, and it's good to see you pull $1,000 out of your back pocket. Then a rabbit. Thank you.
Is that a motion?
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion on this resolution? Vice Chair Roser.
So I will be voting against this resolution. It's not because I think that money in politics is a bad thing, and I think the language looks really good, but there's always more under the surface to these kind of things. And I personally have not researched the implications of this resolution, and so I will be voting no just because I want to research a little bit more about what the overall big picture of passing a resolution like this would mean.
Supervisor Holbrook.
All he has to do is figure out how to turn this on. I respect Supervisor Rosar. However, I think the question here is one of philosophy more than it is politics. And I think when it comes to a matter of philosophy, we have to, kind of allow the public to decide how they feel about issues like this. There may in fact be things that are hidden, and there may not be. And I think the overwhelming feeling that I have about a resolution like this is it's time to hear from the people, because it is their constitution and they have a right to make a statement about issues like this. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the resolution? If none, I'm sorry, Supervisor Zerfel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got my hand up late. I guess I could agree to a certain extent with Supervisor Holbrook, with the people elect us to make these decisions, and especially since this is a non-binding referendum, I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
One more time, any further discussion on this resolution? If not, please go to the board and vote.
We got a problem, Mr. Chairman. There's a problem with the computer.
Okay.
I'm not ignoring it. Operator there. I'll sit back, but you watch over the roof.
Thank you. That resolution passes 16-3. Moving on to our fourth resolution from Judicial and Legislative, and I would ask the clerk to read that.
This will be Resolution 18-6-4, to encourage the state legislature to increase the rate of pay of private attorneys who accept appointments to handle public defender cases. Fiscal note, anticipated cost savings to the county. The economic impact to the county taxpayers would likely be slightly increased as there would be higher costs via the state, and this is a Casanol's word, attenuated somewhat by lower costs for the county.
Motion by Hamilton, second by Layton. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Supervisor Lynch.
Did I miss it? They got an increase for the hourly rate for attorney fees, but is there anything in here for an increase in the travel time?
I am not sure. Nancy, Peter?
No, it's travel.
No. Peter says no. Any further discussion on this resolution? Supervisor Clement.
Although I agree that there needs to be an increase there, I know that the WCA is working on this because the impact is more wide-ranging and far-ranging than just in this particular case. And they've anticipated some of the costs of the counties could be in the tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I know they're working on this right now in Madison. I know that this is going to come forward at a state level. There's going to be a recommendation to counties going forward. So at this point in time, I'm going to vote no on this one, although as we get further information and they further define exactly what those costs will be, I would likely favor it. But at this point in time, I cannot vote in favor of this. Thank you.
Supervisor Lynch.
Yes, this was, as chairman of the Judicial Legislative Committee, this was brought forward by our district attorney, and he alluded to some of those fundings. And yes, I know the counties association is, but we're an arm of the state, and I think we're telling the counties association that we're in favor of this or we're not in favor of this. So I am voting yes. Thank you.
Any further discussion on this resolution? If not, please vote. That resolution passes 12-7. Moving on to the packet, minutes of the HERB committee on 130 to 134. The Powers Bluff County Park Trails Concept Plan on 135 to 172. If you haven't had a chance to look at this, I would encourage you to do so. Very comprehensive plan. There's some big ideas there, some good ideas. I'm sure we'll be talking much more about it going forward. Brings us to the Parks and Forestry, 173 to 176. Various library reports on 177 to 182. And finally, the minutes of the University Commission on 183 to 186. There are two different meetings there. Vice Chair Rosar, I believe you had something here.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to bring to the county board's attention, you know that we supported $1 million investment into a STEM building on campus, along with the $1 million that the city of Marshfield put in with other funding sources, both private and public. And I wanted you to know that on May the 17th, Brian Panzer, who's the maintenance person at the UW at Marshfield Wood County campus, and Michelle Bornke, who's the campus administrator, and myself traveled to Milwaukee to attend a top projects banquet that was held. Our STEM building was nominated for a top projects. The nominations came from various construction companies, various architectural firms, but the UW Marshfield Wood County Everett Rail STEM Center was one of the top projects that was nominated. And so we had this plaque. I'm going to tell you about it, then I'm going to go to the city council and tell them about it. I brought back with me a couple of the programs if you're interested in seeing. One of the UW mid school buildings actually won the top project, but it was an honor just to be nominated, and that STEM building is going to serve us well, and the investment that we made as a county and then also that the city made is going to have implications for many generations in helping to educate people, especially with what's happening with the umbrella of us going with UW Stevens Point. Exciting things happening on this campus, and the STEM building was part of allowing those exciting things to happen. So thank you for your support, and this was a real honor to be nominated. If you haven't seen that building, you need to go and look at it. It's really a work of art and a beautiful building, and I think that was reflected in this nomination. Thank you very much.
Supervisor Jonette.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the merits of this and the discussion on the university, is there come a time that whether Wood County will still be involved in this now that the changes that are made to that university in Marathon County and Wood County, is there an opportunity going to be prior to budgeting of some time as to whether we are going to support that or not? Or will there not be any discussion, is what I'm asking. Will there be a discussion about that before this board?
Vice Chair Rosar says yes, there will be.
Thank you.
There should be.
Supervisor Serflu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to make public mention of Supervisor Lance Plummo being elected to a two-year term as president of the Wisconsin Counties Association. Congratulations.
Degree. Yeah.
That brings us to the end of the packet. Is there anything else that needs to come before the Wood County Board this morning? Anything else? If not, I will. Supervisor Ackback.
I was just going to say to Marshall Fire, we're getting positive feedback about moving it ahead a week. Yeah, they were there at the primary parade in Rapids over the weekend and had a good response out of that. So Farm Progress Days will be over by the time we meet again. So I mean, kind of encourage the people to attend if they can. They want to really get a heads up view of agriculture.
Thank you. Thanks for mentioning Farm Tech Days coming up. I would encourage everyone to get out there if they can.
Badger Boy State is a governmental, it's the American Legion runs a program that we teach young men how to run for positions and run for government. And I can honestly tell you, we had 877 boys that show we have a future in this world, and we hope to get them to come to join the city and the county and the state. And they're a great bunch, and if you ever get a chance, you gotta come down to Ripon and view how that works. First off, you gotta go down and see what Ripon put onto their college. It's unbelievable. So I spent 10 days down there. I also brought a cold back with me, but everybody down there's got a cold, so I guess I wasn't the only one, but it's worth the 10 days to take off and just shut down your cell phone, shut down your iPad, and just enjoy those young men. There's a future in this country, believe me, there is a future. They're not the negative, they're the positive. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. That is a great program, and you've been involved with that for quite a while.
23 years.
23 years. Yeah. Thank you.
Can I ask Mr. Barr a question?
Sure.
So I appreciate your efforts in that. Is there something comparable for the other genders?
Sure. I should have known that was coming. The girls are presently in Oshkosh. They meet in Oshkosh. We couldn't put the two together in one that would not work. I don't know what you do with 900 boys, 900 girls in the same area. So they meet 1 week later than we do. So they run the same program, a little tougher than we do. We have a lot of downtime for our young men. These girls, they run them pretty tough, just like a boot camp, but we don't do that. So, and we did have the governor this year that was there, and we also had our national commander, Denise Rohan, who is from Wisconsin, so it was a great week. So, and everybody, I say again, if you get a chance to go down, you should just go down on a Thursday night when there's an inauguration. It's unbelievable. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Again,